Coach, you talked about the other night after the game how hurt that locker room was, and obviously to lose a game like that, you're going to see that. How has your team been since then, and kind of responded? I know you always talk about how they bounce back pretty quickly.
Yeah, you've heard me say that before, and you know, kids recover quickly, or I should say, quicker than the coaches. Everywhere I've ever been, that's just the case, and it's a good thing, right? People talk about short memories in our sport, in a lot of sports for that matter, and you need them during the game. You know, you make a bad play, you miss a shot, get to the next play. It's a universal phrase that most coaches use across all sports, and we're no different that way. But I expected them yesterday when we met to be in decent spirits, and they were. You know, and even in the locker room, you know, Ken Matthews was talking about, you know, sticking together. You know, while I was, you know, sharing my comments and, you know, getting ready for Saturday, what a great opportunity and challenge it was going to be. So, you know, he was sharing the message that I would want him to share, and you know, they were good, and you know, we certainly talked about the Alabama game and did what we needed to do to try to learn from that particular game, and then use it going forward. And you know, all our focus and energy is obviously on Missouri.
You obviously talked about the three ball too, the 3-point defense, and then you got another team coming in here in Missouri that shoots you well from the perimeter, and obviously that's their staple this year. Again, got one of the best shooters in the country. Um, Not to give away a game plan or anything, but how do you make adjustments to that when, you know, after what Alabama and Kentucky have done, and other teams?
Yeah, first of all, you know, Alabama and Kentucky are good three-point shooting teams. And some nights it becomes contagious. You know, Youngblood came in from South Florida has a reputation of a shooter, and his numbers, if you look at him at face value, you wouldn't expect him to shoot the percentage that he does currently, 30% I think coming into our game. But as I look back on the game, like he hit his first one, and most guys that I've coached, when they hit that first one, and you get that bounce in your step, and I thought that, unfortunately for us, was a really good play for them, and it proved to be, you know, I know he missed three. I don't remember him missing a shot, even after watching film. Like, it's like, man, he hit some bombs. I mean, they were beyond the NBA three, and you know, kudos to him for getting in that groove, and for his teammates finding him. But it's not. I'm not into, you know, they just made shots. That's the default that a lot of people go to, even though in reality there is some of that going on. But we've got to obviously do better, and you've heard me say this too many times, but it's just the truth is it normally comes back to you know, what we did at the point of attack earlier in the possession, either, you know, a failed ball screen coverage where we get behind the play and we have to overhelp, and you know, we get too much distance between, you know, the guy we're defending when he catches the ball. Some of our urgency to close out and contest shots without fouling, which we didn't in the last game either. It's become somewhat of an issue for us, is fouling jump shooters. I don't know if I've had a team that's fouled more jump shooters on a consistent basis than this team. And you know, that's a fine line. You want them to contest, you want them to bother the shot, but don't foul. You know, it's easy to say, you know, when you're sitting over there on the sideline, but when, you know, you're doing it, you know, on the floor, it's a little different matter to have that much discipline, you know, to do what the coach wants, to bother and contest, but at the same time, you know, don't touch the shooter. So, you know, our players have to be better, understanding who they're guarding. We got to be better at the point of attack, like I said, and then we've got to continue to search for ways to put them in better position. But it's definitely something, you know, that we talk about and we're focused on and trying to get better as the season unfolds.
We'll go to coaches Wright and Jacob and then back to the TV cameras.
Coach, Missouri's had one of the most impressive turnarounds from last year to this year. Kind of what stands out to you watching them on film?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Gates has done a tremendous job since he's arrived. You know, I'm sure they were very motivated and hungry once the season was complete last year, as you can imagine, to you know, get it right with the recruiting and then certainly with their play. And you know, so far it's been impressive. You know what they've done. They've got a gaudy record. I mean, they're 5-2. You know, in the SEC on steroids. You know, their only losses are at Auburn and what's the other one?
At Texas.
At Texas. You know, so they're in great position. I'm sure they're playing with a ton of confidence. You know, and what sticks out to me, I guess, from the video is just how hard they play. I mean, they play so hard and they have the confidence to play so hard because they play so many guys. You know, they play 10 guys on a consistent basis, double-figure minutes, which you don't see that often anymore. And then they got 3 more that play 8 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. So there's games where, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they play 11, 12, 13 guys. You know, they shuffle them in and out. And I'm sure a part of their mantra is to, you know, don't hold anything back. You know, you got subs coming. You know you're not going to play 35 minutes, and that's a great luxury to have, especially given the style that they play with. I mean, they're as good as anybody in the league at turning you over in a league that's got a bunch of teams that do it well, but they're just relentless with their denial of passes and with their contesting of ball reversals. And then once you catch it, they don't give you any room. They're constantly trying to, you know, just frustrate you, speed you up, you know, get you to throw errant passes, tip balls. And so, you know, your ability to pass and catch the ball against them is tested. And then, like you hear me talk about, you know, we're best when we ignite offense from our defense, and that's where they're best at too, when they, you know, start turning you over and get out in numbers and score in transition. And then they just pressure you. If you're taking the ball out of bounds, baseline, side out, it doesn't matter. They're always messing with you. They're always trying to find a way to turn you over. And then offensively, I mean, they've got great confidence. They're shooting the 3 at 38-39% clip in the SEC. They got one of the best shooters in the country, Caleb Grill, and he's in one of those zones that we all see shooters get in. And, you know, he's been defended some plays that you couldn't defend it any better, and it didn't matter. You know, he still made the shot. So, you know, guarding the 3-point line, like Paul mentioned, will be a big key for us.
Back to the TV cameras, go ahead.
Coach over here. Coach, so I mean, with the losses to Kentucky and then the one against Alabama, the last few minutes proved very critical. How can you guys improve on those late game situations, and how do you even practice situational stuff like that?
Well, first of all, I think experience is the best teacher. You know, you're having those type of situations at this point, 21 games into the season, plus others. You know, just great teaching moments, and you try to break it down to them of, you know, what we did well, what we didn't, so we can learn next time we're in those situations. You know, at this point, to try to replicate all of the scenarios that could happen in the last minute or two of a game is hard to do when you're not practicing as long, you know, as you would in the fall. And talking about it and showing them what we need to be doing, you know, is what we continue to try to do. In the end, you know, it's not a video game. You know, the clock's moving, the players are moving, and, you know, you got to make a play. You know, you got to make a play. You know, the last play of the game, you know, I didn't see it live because of the angle, you know, where we were trying to tie it up, obviously, and you know, if you watch their bench, you know, the clock's going down 10, 9, 8, 7, and they're over there going like this. And I obviously was trying to avoid getting fouled. I wanted to be able to get as clean a look off as possible. I felt like our percentage to tie the game was better to get a 3-point look than it was to get fouled, and then make one, try to tip it out. That percentage isn't as high as just getting a clean look. So when, for whatever reason, they didn't get the signal in quick enough, I'm like, we're gonna have a chance to get a shot off. And then, the handoff didn't go as smooth as we wanted. But they made some tough shots. I mean, they really did. They made some tough shots down the stretch. But we're gonna be in, other close games. We've won some, we've lost some. Certainly, you wanna win every one of them. That's always the goal. But hopefully that experience will help us next time.
Got time for a few more. We'll go Benjamin front row and then David.
What have you seen just sort of in the locker room? You mentioned that they were hurt the other night, just in terms of the leadership that especially some of your upperclassmen and veteran players, guys like Cam and Keyshawn and maybe even Josh, have shown after a game like that on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, if they weren't hurting, I would have been, the word's not disappointed, but surprised. I love this team. I told them that time and again. I believe in this team. I have confidence in this team. I know how they work. I know what they're made of. I feel and see and sense their camaraderie and belief in one another. It's a fun team to be around. They've got a competitive mindset. Certainly, they get tired of me because we're always wanting more. There's always more. We can get better at this or that and the other. And as a player, it can be a drag at times, and we try to get them to understand it's for your best interest, short term, long term, and certainly for ours collectively right now. But they just got a good vibe amongst them. And you mentioned the leadership. I talked about Cam, speaking up in the locker room, and it was a pretty somber situation, but that's what makes coming to practice every day, giving a bounce in my step, knowing what I'm about to walk into and knowing that they're gonna have the right frame of mind to work and get better and meet the next challenge.